Welcome everyone to CL Uni-Verse, where we are talking about all you need to know about top global universities. This is the second season of our series where we'll talk about Ivy League admissions. Today we have with us our esteemed guest, Mr. Vishal Sehgal. He has advanced his education with a master's at Harvard University. He also earned the prestigious Joint Japan World Bank Scholarship. He is the founding program coordinator for Pratham Delhi, which is one of the most respected education NGOs in the country. His impactful contributions earned recognition from the Senate of California of USA. He has worked in the areas of consulting, public policy, banking, telecom, and manufacturing. A very warm welcome to you, sir.
Thank you, Mayur. Thank you for having me on the show.
So this is the first episode of our series where we'll talk about Ivy League universities, prestige, purpose, and placement opportunities. So the first question we have for you, if you could share some insights into the top Ivy League institutions and what are the factors that sets them apart from other universities?
Okay, so Ivy League universities are the top 8 universities in the northeastern part of the US. But I would like to break a myth for students. Ivy League is just an athletic association of educational institutions,
Right.
and 8 universities are part of it.
Okay.
I personally want to deal with what I call as Ivy plus universities.
Okay.
Right? So while Dartmouth, Harvard, Cornell, Yale, Brown, Columbia, Princeton are part of the Ivy League universities,
Right.
but Stanford is not, MIT is not,
Right.
Berkeley is not, U Chicago is not.
Right.
Are they not prestigious enough is what I would say. So a
Interesting.
student should not be focused on a brand which is Ivy League. A student should be looking at what are the top universities in their field.
Absolutely.
Okay, and this is an important part of what an Ivy League or an Ivy Plus is. Why are they the most prestigious or the most recognized universities globally? The reasons range from the fact that Ivy Leagues, for example, were formed in the colonial period, most of them, 1700s to 1800s. So they have a history which ranges from something like 150 years to 350 years. And they must be doing something right that they are at the top of their game for 150 to 300 years. Right? So that's the first part. That is where the reputation, the legacy comes in. The third part is, yes, they are very strong on the academic curriculum and they bring in the best academic curriculum which is futuristic and which is changing with times. It's not a static curriculum we are talking about.
Right.
The third piece is that they invest very heavily in research.
Okay.
Okay, the research possibilities available to a student who goes either for an undergrad or for a postgrad institute, postgrad studies to any of these universities, whether Ivy League or Ivy Plus, are immense. A very large part of this comes from the fact that there is a wonderful industry, academia, bonding that the universities have. So the top professors at these universities do research for some of the best companies on the planet.
Okay.
But also they are doing independent research which is leading to products that some of these companies are using. Their impact has been very broad because of this reason.
Right.
And I reiterate those 4 factors: the reputation,
Right.
which is pretty long.
Right.
The second is the academic strength and the constant churning of the curriculum to meet the needs of the industry
Right.
going forward. The third is the immense research focus, and the fourth is industry academia participation. So that leads to the outcomes that we are looking at.
Right. So just to be clear, as you rightly said, that there are some of the top institutes which are not even Ivy Leagues. So it would be safe to say that Ivy Leagues are definitely the top, but it's not really that is all out there to go to.
Yes, exactly the point I'm trying to make. The fact is, you should not be focused only on the Ivy League, but focus on Ivy League plus So there are other, as I said, 7 or 8 universities. U Chicago, MIT, Stanford, U
Absolutely.
Berkeley. Look at them, and they are as good as the Ivy League
So
universities.
interesting vocab, I suppose, the Ivy League plus here for our audience. So coming back to the point that you already mentioned when it comes to legacy. So the next question I have is: so how the Ivy League universities have contributed to innovation and societal change throughout history, and if you could mention some of the notable examples where we can understand the kind of impact these institutions have to our society in general.
So I would like to point out a couple more smaller factors.
Right.
So most, especially Indian students,
Right.
look for Ivies or Ivy plus.
Okay.
There is something in the US which is called little Ivies.
Okay.
So what are little Ivies? Williams, Amherst, Middlebury,
Okay.
Swarthmore, Bowdoin. Some of the best colleges, liberal arts colleges
Right.
in the US are also the small colleges.
Okay.
So don't focus कि मुझे इस बड़े ब्रांड पे ही जाना है
Right.
जो कि इंडिया में नोन है.
Right.
राइट आज से 15 साल पहले जारा को इंडिया में कोई नहीं जानता था लेकिन अब सब लोग पहनते हैं
Absolutely, absolutely.
सो दैट्स द आइडिया डू योर रिसर्च गेट टू नो सम ऑफ द टॉप इंस्टीट्यूट्स एंड देन अप्लाई दैट्स आई एम
Right, right.
कंक्लूडिंग द
Right,
you know
right.
so there is Ivy plus and little Ivies that you should be thinking about and talking about. That's part one. What leads to their reputation and what is their impact?
Right.
The impact has been immense, not only in the US but also globally, for the reason that US has been one of the leaders of the first world leaders, so to
Absolutely.
say, going forward. But as I said, they have histories ranging from 150 years to 350 years, and only, I would say, Oxbridge universities are their only challengers in the sense of longevity.
Right.
Right? So the impact, I would say, comes from these places. The impact comes from a huge variety of sources.
Right.
Okay, and I would not like to go into specifics because they are very very specifics कि ये develop हुआ या
Right,
वो
right.
develop हुआ. But for example, the nuclear bomb that was made, and I am talking in terms of the scientific advancement
Right.
rather than any other piece. So most of the scientists were working for some of the top universities in the US.
Absolutely.
Right? So that is the kind of impact we are talking about. Cornell, I think Richard Feynman was working there and Carl Sagan was there. And they have an accelerator which is I think was there since the 40s or the 50s.
Absolutely.
Right? 16 US presidents have come from these Ivy League universities. The Supreme Court judges are from some of the Ivy League universities. These universities tend to have the largest number of Nobel Prize
Absolutely.
winners, not only in sciences but also in economics or literature, for
Right,
example.
right.
So this impact has been pretty widespread. Their alumni has produced CEOs, top entrepreneurs,
Right.
and dropouts. So the two famous dropouts are Mark Zuckerberg and Bill Gates, who
Absolutely.
are Ivy League dropouts. So even the dropouts are, I would say,
Even the dropouts need no introduction.
right. So that's
Right.
where we are going.
Absolutely. So, I mean, apart from the fact that they're obviously the top universities, what really makes admissions to these universities so competitive? And what are the statistics, if you could share some, such as acceptance rates and the admission trends across these Ivy League universities?
So what is happening is everything has changed, and they were always very very competitive.
Absolutely.
Let's not deny that. But last 10 or 12 years, the trends have totally skyrocketed in terms of the admission selectivity.
Okay.
Okay, and part of that is the increased mobility, the increased richness, and the impact of the internet.
Okay.
Even a tier 2 or a tier 3 person in India now talks about or knows about some of these topmost universities. Okay,
Absolutely.
and that, especially from India, the aspiration of the child and the parents to study at the best possible place,
Absolutely.
is increasing, and this is not limited just to the Ivy League universities, but if you see IITs, IIMs, some of the best colleges in
Right.
India, all of them have seen.
Yeah.
Coming back to Ivies, they are extremely competitive. We are talking about selection rates of 5%.
Okay.
Right? They have gone as low as 2.9 and 3.2% last year.
Okay.
But 10 years ago, these rates were 8 or 9%. So the selectivity is just going, through the roof, is what I would say.
Okay.
The important part about this admissions process is that this is a holistic admissions process.
Okay.
It's not looking only at your academic grades.
Right.
I would say academic grades are necessary but not sufficient condition,
Okay.
as they would say in math.
Right.
So I've got a student who had 78% in 10th and I think 82% in class 12 boards, and we got him into Berkeley and he works for Apple now, for example. I mean,
Wow.
just from an aspirational
Right.
perspective. But you need to have practical application of your knowledge. You need to have a strong extracurricular record, and most importantly, a social or a societal impact,
Right.
and a passion that comes through in your application and the activities that
Absolutely.
you do. So you have to be passionate about whether it is geography or computer science or mechanical engineering, and show. So don't say I'm great in maths and physics, therefore I want to do mechanical engineering.
Right.
Show me how you are so great about mechanical engineering.
Right. Right.
Do something, but everybody, just be very clear. Every child cannot climb the Mount Everest.
Absolutely.
But everybody can show the passion for mountaineering by spending time, effort, and building that skill up.
Right.
And that's exactly what the universities are looking at. They are looking at well-rounded personality.
Right.
And they are looking at strong academics. I mean, ultimately, you are going for academics.
Right.
So you cannot say, oh, I could not study for my exams and I have 59%.
Right.
So that's not going to take.
But contrary to popular belief, right, where we think that we need a 95 or a 98% at least to get into, as you mentioned, that a student with 78 or 85% can also get into these universities. So there is a possibility. It's not a make or break for a student who, let's say, is not able to somehow get into the 90s in school.
So if everybody gets an A,
Right.
the A becomes useless.
Right.
Right. I mean, the inflation of grades, especially in India, everybody in CBSE getting 90 plus,
Right.
has brought down, in certain sense, the importance of grades per se.
So they're not as significant.
Yeah. But they are important indicator of
Right.
what you have been doing through the year.
Right.
Now you have to supplement this with other things, and most important part of that supplementation is the fact that you need to show me the passion that you have for the subject. You need to show me that I have researched. I don't want to go to Harvard or Princeton just because they are ranked 1 or 2 or 3.
Right.
Ranking in my dictionary does not count.
Okay.
What counts is, what is it that you like? What facilities are available for what you like?
Okay.
Right? And how will you use those facilities?
So
Right?
the student has to really show that.
Obviously, the
Right.
student has to show that initiative, that if I come to a Cornell or a Brown or a Columbia,
Right.
I will not only use the facilities of Columbia. I mean, Columbia is known for its core curriculum. I would go there for the core curriculum.
Right.
But I would also go to Columbia for the fact that it is in the New York City. And the New York City has a certain kind of context and an environment. And if I don't use that, I've wasted part of that 4 years. So I need to be immersed in that research to
Right.
figure out how it matters to me. And just look at Harvard has been in top 3 as a university for donkey's years.
Okay.
But in computer science, it is not a top 10 university for several years.
Okay.
According to several rankings.
Mm-hmm.
Does that mean I will not go to Harvard? Possibly yes,
Possibly no. Right.
And that's the question you should ask yourself.
Right.
What is it I'm looking for? Everybody may not be looking to become a coder or a computer scientist.
Right.
People may be wanting to use let's say computer science with medical and with ethics. For that, maybe Harvard, the Harvard Medical School and the Harvard Government Department with, the excellent professors there give you a wonderful ecosystem to thrive.
Right.
But let's say if you are pure a person who wants to look at computer science, math going forward, then possibly Princeton, MIT, Stanford are much better places than Harvard for you.
All right.
Right. So it
Right.
depends on what you want to do and how you choose that. That's a critical part of the game.
So one of the key takeaways, I suppose, is that to create such an application, to really showcase your passion, your commitment, one really needs to start early, I suppose.
Exactly. Start in high school, but don't start in class 6.
All right. So moving on, could you also shed some light on the kind of placement opportunities students get after going through these, Ivy League colleges? Also, how valuable it is for employers for the value of such degrees, and what is the influence of alumni network? I suppose that also plays an important role.
Yeah, this is a very important but also a very, very long answer question. I will try to summarize in 3 or 4 points.
Right.
The first part is that look, the selectivity of these universities are very, very high.
Right.
That means the students have crossed that bar.
Right.
Right. They have already shown that they were leaders of their cohort.
Right.
When they were getting in. Therefore, a top university or a top employer would love to get some of these students
Right.
as employees in their universities.
Right.
Okay, in their industries. But unlike India, where we have day 1, day 0 kind of placements,
Right.
those placements don't happen in these top universities.
Okay.
What happens is that you get access to some of these industries.
Okay.
Also, employer does value, students from these universities, but it does not mean that if you are from one of these top Stanford, MIT, Harvard,
Right.
from these universities, you will definitely get a job here.
Okay.
That does not happen.
Right.
A Ivy League university will get you a interview with some of the top employers.
Right.
Okay, so you will get a seat on the interview table, but you will have to go prove your worth to them. And if you prove your worth, then you are moving faster
Right.
and higher and to better placements. That's
Right.
part number 1. Part number 2 is the fact that there is an industry academia interface that is happening and there is a research opportunity that is happening. So the professors and the academic staff in the labs, in the college, are providing consulting opportunities to the universities, and
Right.
therefore you as a student get an opportunity to work with that company.
Right.
And therefore that provides you a great access to some of the top universities and the recommendations from your professors, from colleagues,
Right.
etc.
Right.
The most important role is played by the alumni. The alumni networks are very strong. They are very well cultivated. There are a lot of alumni events that happen on the campus,
Right.
and it is good for a student to go network with the alumni there. But don't think that Mayur, you and I from same college. Therefore, when I'm looking for somebody, I will give you an opportunity.
Right.
You will definitely get a treatment to get onto the table,
Right.
but nothing beyond that.
Right.
They are smart businessmen
Absolutely.
or industrialists
Absolutely.
who are running, but they know the pedigree.
Right.
So they will respect the pedigree, but only to a limit.
To a limit.
So let's be very clear about that.
Right.
It's not going to go beyond.
So what I understand, I think the key message here is that a student cannot be complacent.
Exactly.
Once you get there, it has to still, you still have to work really, really hard.
So you have to, as I always say, you have to be good at doing boring things.
Right.
The 20 math problems,
Absolutely.
the problem set in physics or the problem set in geography,
Right.
day on day has to be done.
Right. So the skills that have actually helped you get into the university still need to be,
Continue
you need to hone those
nurtured,
skills.
yes.
Absolutely.
What is happening is if you go to these universities, you get global opportunities.
Right.
So let's say if you are in a Stanford or an MIT or a Princeton and you are an Indian student,
Right.
you will get an opportunity to work in Brazil maybe or in Colombia.
Right.
That's a very different environment from your own, and
Right.
that differentiates you.
Okay.
The other thing that the teams that you work in are very diverse,
Okay.
right? Culturally, racially, language, thought process wise,
Right.
and that develops you as a person. And these are equally important, right?
Right.
As you know, in a business environment,
Right.
yeah, the technical skills will get you to a level, but
Absolutely.
beyond that, it's the human skills
Right.
and the adaptability that these universities allow you to create for yourself.
Right.
So I think the important message that I'm giving is be good at boring
Right.
and don't be complacent. Work
Absolutely.
hard, take initiative,
Absolutely.
and most importantly, follow your passion. That is it.
Yeah, I think that message is loud and clear. Thank you so much, Mr. Vishal, and I think that has been really insightful to all our audience and will really help them plan their journey to the top Ivy League universities. So that'll be all in our episode today. In case you wish to know more or you wish to get your profile evaluated with our experts, please click on the link below in the description. Also click on the bell icon and subscribe to our channel so that you will have latest notifications to our upcoming videos.